Hello everyone, welcome you again to IT Era. I am Priyanka. In today's session, we are going to discuss all verses or difference between type of questions in C Sharp and OOPS, which you usually ask in interviews. Actually, in my starting days, when I was preparing for interviews, I had thought, how if I will get all verses questions and answers in a single place? But unfortunately, I didn't get it on those days. But yes, today I have brought this video for you, where you will get all type of difference between questions and answers in one video, which will clear your confusion to answer such a questions. So, I'm damn sure today's video will be very helpful for you. So, stay connected and watch this video till the end. Before we start, if you are someone new to this channel and if you have not subscribed yet, I would like to recommend you to subscribe my channel because I always come up with such a videos which will be helpful to be better prepared for your technical interviews and also to make your conceptual understanding clear. And also click on a bell icon next to the subscribe which will ensure you will be notified with my new videos every time and you don't miss anything important. Actually, many of time we have knowledge of concept, but we don't know how to present that as a part of versus question. We need to mention them by comparing each other. So, I have gathered all points together and going to cover all these questions like get versus post, string versus string builder, enumerables versus queryable, array versus array list, class versus struct, abstract class versus interface, dispose versus finalize, collection versus generics. So let's begin with our very first question, that is get versus post. Well, both are the HTTP type request methods which are designed to enable communication between client and servers. While talking about the differences, get method is used to get data from server while post method is used to send data from client to server. Get method is less secure as compared to post because data is passed in the form of URL, which is visible to everyone. And also it has a limitation of number of character passed in a URL, like query string. Whereas post method is more secure as compared with a get because data is passed through the HTTP header using secure HTTP protocol. And also we can pass large amount of data. Let's move to the next difference, that is string versus string builder. String is belong to system namespace, whereas string builder belong to system.text namespace. That means complete functionality of the string builder is provided by string builder class, which is present in a system.namespace. Another difference is string is a immutable. That means once string object created, we cannot modify it. But string builder is mutable as we can modify object after creation also. In string, when we perform any operation like insert, update, append, new object of a string will be created every time and old object will be discarded. Whereas in a string builder, during any operation, new object will not create, it will use same object every time. In a string, as every time it create new object, the new memory slot will get allocated. But in a string builder, same memory slot is used since no object created for any operation. Hence, if a string is going to remain constant throughout the program, then we should use string classes. And if a string can change like lots of logic operations in a construction of string, then using string builder is the best option. Okay. Then moving to forward to next question. Our third difference is IEnumerable versus Iqueryable. IEnumerable is belong to system.collection namespace, whereas Iqueryable is belong to system.linQ namespace. While querying data from database, IEnumerable executes select query on a server side, loads data in a memory on a client side, and then filter the data. Hence, it is suitable for querying data from in-memory collection like list, array, etc. Whereas, while querying the data from database, iQueryable execute select query on server side with all filters. Hence, it is suitable for querying data from out memory like remote object services like. And lastly, IEnumerable is beneficial for link you to object and link you to XML query. And Iqueryable is beneficial for link you to SQL queries. Okay, that is for IEnumerable and Iqueryable. Let's move to next difference. Array versus array list. Array is belong to system.array namespace, whereas array list is belong to system.collection namespace. Array contains collection of similar data type element, whereas array list may contain collection of different data type element. Array size is fixed, but array list can increase or decrease dynamically. Typecasting is not required in array, but typecasting is required every time in array list. In array, element cannot be inserted or deleted in between, whereas in array list, element can be inserted or deleted in between. And lastly, array is a faster as compared with array list, and array list is a slower than array. Okay, moving to next differences. Class versus struct. Here I have listed all possible differences, but in an interview, you should pick only 4 or 5 out of them. Don't go for explaining each of them. Okay, then let's see the differences. Class is a reference type data type, so objects are created on a heap memory, whereas struct is a value type data type, so objects are created on a stack memory. Class can be inherited from another class, but struct cannot be inherited from another structure. Also, class are created using new keyword, but struct object are created without using new keyword. Another is a class have all type of constructor and destructor, whereas struct has only parameterized constructor. And class can be abstract class, but struct cannot be abstract. And the lastly is object of a class is destroyed using garbage collector, but object of struct cannot be destroyed using garbage collector. Okay, now moving to next, that is abstract class versus interface. Now, this is a mostly asked question. Every interviewer will ask this question. Difference between abstract and interface. Again, I'll remind you, here I have listed all possible differences, but in interview, you should pick only 4 or 5 of them because interviewer's time is also very precious. And while answering this question, you should always pretend like you have experienced this point, not just like you have heard it from somewhere. So, the way you are presenting your answer is also important. So, while giving the answer to this question, you can say, well, abstract class does not provide full abstraction, but interface provides full abstraction. The abstract class has declaration and definition for methods, but interface has only declaration for methods. Abstract class cannot achieve multiple inheritance, whereas interface is only alternative for multiple inheritance. In abstract, we can declare member fields, but in interface, we cannot declare member fields. In abstract class, we can specify access modifier as and private is a default access modifier there. But in interface, we cannot declare access modifier and by default it is a public. As in abstract class, we use abstract keyword to define the abstract method. But in an interface, though the method are abstract by default, but we don't use abstract keyword. And lastly, in abstract class, we can use constructor, but in an interface, we don't have any constructor. So that was the differences for abstract class and interface. As I said, this is the one of the mostly asked question. I hope this explanation will be helpful. So let's move to our next differences. Dispose method versus finalize method. Well, dispose method and finalize method both are invoked to free the unmanaged resources held by the object. But while talking about the differences, dispose method is defined inside the interface IDisposable, whereas finalize method is defined inside the class object. The main difference between the dispose and finalize is that dispose method has to be explicitly invoked by the user, means we have to write the code to call this method, whereas finalize method is invoked by the garbage collector just before the object is destroyed. Another one is dispose method is declared as a public, whereas finalize method is declared as private. Also, dispose method is faster and instantly disposed by the object, but finalize method is slower as compared to dispose. The dispose method perform instantaneous action, hence does not affect performance of website. But finalize method being slower affect the performance of website. Okay. Now coming to the last differences of this session is collection versus generics. Collection belongs to the system.name collection namespace, whereas generics belong to system.collection.generics namespace. Collection can store element of any data type, but generics store element of only one data type. In collection, boxing and unboxing is required, thus reduce the performance. Whereas in generics, boxing and unboxing is not required, thus improve the performance. As collection work with any data type, so no need to specify data at runtime. But for generics, we can get what kind of data type stored in the generics at runtime using reflections. Okay, so that's it for the today's session. I hope you like this video and content also. So do share this video with your friends and thank you for the listening and have a great day.